Welcome to WTF Red, the only Reddit channel that will blow your mind. Like and subscribe right now to support Pepe's career as an independent musician. Those that have noped out of a relationship, what was your they are probably crazy red flag moment? After dating this girl for about a year, her parents surprised me with a contract stating I would propose to my GF within 3 months. I thought my GF would share my concern, but she actually thought I was being irrational for not signing. Nope the fuck out, tap that one and later blocked that entire family from my life in every way I could. She bit me twice. Once on my arm, and then on my ass. These were not fun, love bites. We were in an argument and the crazy broad got violent. Took a chunk out of both places. I finally slapped her, so she would release her jaw from my ass. She was shocked. She called the cops. They showed up and arrested her. I was the one bleeding after all. I didn't wash a bowl in the sink before work. I said I went to do it, but got distracted and I didn't. He decided to teach me a lesson by speeding the car up and then slamming the brakes on, and stopped before hitting the car in front of us, stopped at the lights. They turned to me and said I was going to smash into them. But I didn't. Yeah, he didn't last long after that. It was weird, and looking back it didn't make sense what he said, but it scared the shit out of me at the time. She broke every bit of glass, plate, window, mirror in our house, took a knife to the sofa, and smashed in the TV. Spent the night driving around drunk looking for me. I was 2 blocks away at my best amigo's house. Located me, physically assaulted me in front of my friends, and then drove to her parents' house, grabbed her father's hunting shotgun, and told her parents she was going to blow her head off. She spent 2 weeks in a locked ward, and was diagnosed with adult onset schizophrenia. She was legitimately crazy. I had a girl request that we have sex outside, in the woods. We met online, naturally. Anyway, we head out to a nice spot, and do the deed. She begins sobbing after. I ask her if everything is alright, and she reassures me that it is. Then proceeds to tell me about how she was raped in the woods a couple years back, while continuing to sob. She pulled out a knife, and started running in circles around the house with it. I was on a bus back home the next day. Edit, I guess I should provide a little context. The short version. Right before that, she was mad about something her cousin had done, so she came in to complain to me about it. I was busy reading Harry Potter and not listening to what she was saying, so she hauled off and punched me in the balls. She immediately had my attention. I jumped up, or what the fuck, and she started to try to punch me. I grabbed her by her tiny wrists and stopped her. She settled down a little, and I let her go. Then she went and grabbed a knife and started circling the house. In the end she said she wanted to cut herself and not me, but I wasn't cool with any of that. The long version involved her dad raping her, her mother in prison, she lived with her grandma, she got pregnant, her grandma died of cancer, she lived with a teacher, the teacher kicked her out because we made the sexy times, she lived with my grandma, she lost the baby, we graduated, we got on a bus, and moved across the country to live with her aunt, and then the short version. We went to an amusement park and she demanded we rode the same ride 4 times in a row, and would throw a fit anytime I suggested anything else. The line for that ride was over 2 hours each time, and we basically waited in lines for the whole day. I was admitted to hospital after nearly having a heart attack. He texted me, asked what I was up to. I told him I was in emergency care, that I had almost died, and I was extremely upset. It was 2 AM. He replied cool. He wouldn't let me eat more food than him. In the end of our relationship he would measure my food every time I tried to eat. I hadn't been eating for 2 days because I was scared to make him angry, and tried to make a meal and took 1 deciliter more than I was allowed, and he flipped the fuck out. He was crazy as fuck, but thought I was the crazy one. I thanked her for advice that she had given me by texting thanks for the advice, and she flipped the fuck out, asking me why I always have to be so sarcastic and passive aggressive. She could not believe that I legitimately thought it was thankful. Don't remember what it was anymore though. We dated for a few weeks, and then the night came to get down. Since having sex doesn't happen often for me, I don't typically keep a condom in my wallet or on my person. She says she wants to fuck, and I tell her I don't have a condom. To which she replies it's fine. Being the horny non-thinker I was, I got to work. As I'm ready to come, I start pulling out. She grabs my hips and pulls me back inside her and says in me. And of course, that being the hottest thing I've ever heard a woman say to me, I finish inside her. A few weeks go by, and she tells me she's late and to be prepared to be a father. Not the most ideal situation, but I put myself in it. I'm going to see it through. Another 2 days go by, and she's in tears. I ask what the matter was, and she said she got her period. I looked confused and she yelled, I wanted to have a child with you, and it didn't work, and now we have to try again. I've never ghosted someone so fast in my life. Man, I was such a dumbass. So many warning signs. She used to disappear and not come home at night, not answer her phone, etc. Then, she got pregnant and broke the news by telling me that she flushed her birth control. I respect a woman's right to choose, so now I have a lovely 12-year-old daughter. I still didn't leave. When my daughter was born, she started doing the same thing again, drinking, screaming, etc. I broke up with her, and we started sharing our daughter 1/2 and 1/2. A bit later I transferred to university and stupidly decided to give it one more shot. After living at uni with her and our daughter, I found out all of her trips back home were to have an affair. I was like, what the fuck? I'm in college, work 2 jobs, take care of the baby, you know. So I noped out. I have had full-time custody of my daughter for 10 years, and her craziness gave me the best gift I have ever received. Not really a relationship, but a first date. I was 19 and a junior in college at the time. One of my TAs asked me out. I believe he was 3 years older than I. He picked me up at my apartment, and I let him in while I finished getting ready. He started telling me how he could teach me so much about the world and life in general, and how I had so much to learn. Blah, blah, blah. Basically, he was saying I was his inferior, but he'd be happy to teach me until I was more at his level. It was really a WTF moment. Why someone would think the way to a girl's heart was to disparage her intelligence and tell her how superior you were. I showed him to the door and locked it behind him. I was seriously waiting for him to fuck with my final grade, but he didn't, which is good, because I would have rained some shit down on his stupid head. My second comment on this thread, met a guy at a club, we kissed and I gave him my number. Started feeling bad as the night progressed, so went home. Ended up really sick with gastro, the one where you finally get to sleep only to wake up, vomit, wish for death, then pass out again. It was a 24-hour bug in total. In that time he had left 30 missed calls and messages on my phone. I did not arrange a date with him or call him back. I had only met him the night before. Not even dating, but going out on a few dates, and over text message goes, hey, I just wanted you to know that I've had many past partners. I've probably slept with at least 30 guys. Now I don't judge, and I don't care, so I replied with, hey, that's cool, it doesn't bother me. She flips and goes off, I don't give a fuck what you think. I wasn't asking permission from you. Why then do you bring it up? I don't give a fuck. I've got a recent one. We'd only been talking for a few days, so at this point there is no commitment or anything really beyond a confirmed mutual interest. Immediately I noticed she was getting a bit clingy in that she wanted to talk on the phone several times a day. So I'm already in establishing boundaries mode right off the bat. Anyway, I was walking home from the store, it had just started raining, and my phone battery was almost dead. I had just enough charge left to listen to an audiobook, but not enough for a phone call. This is when she calls me. I begin to explain that I'm walking in the rain and my battery's dead, and that I'll call her when I get home. I didn't get to finish the sentence because she starts in with, look, if you don't want to talk to me, just say it and quit wasting my time. Oh, no, you fucking didn't just lay a guilt trip on me for being soaking wet and miserable on the side of the road with a dead battery. I shot back with, don't you even start that shit with me, or I'll never speak to your ass again. She hung up. That sealed the deal. My battery did in fact die on the way home. I log into Facebook, and there's already 3 messages from her. The first one is angry, the next one is apologetic, and the third one is promising never to start drama again. I just blocked her. I check the phone, and there's a bunch of similar texts. She kept texting for a few days after that and eventually gave up. I didn't read any of them. Word to the wise, if there are two ways to interpret your motives, and someone always chooses the interpretation that leads to drama, get the fuck away. There was no winning in that situation, and that's how it always goes with people like that. If you're the trusting sort like me, the tendency is to take their complaints at face value and try to make things better the next time. It will never happen. I've wasted a lot of time on people like that, and I was pretty proud of myself for finally recognizing those head games on site and putting a stop to it immediately. Told me she couldn't have a baby because something was wrong with her. I thought, oh well, that sucks, but whatever. Constantly asking me about baby related stuff and how she really wants a baby even though she told me she can't. Started to wonder what was up at this point. Went on holiday for a month. Came back and was still seeing/dating her and talking constantly, but she had blocked me on Facebook. Getting massive red flags at this point. Started acting altogether really weird. Asked her what was going on and that I just wanted her to be honest. Turned out she was pregnant and is now a single mother. Think I dodged a bullet. He went through the messages on my phone twice. Each time was after a fight because he knew I would have ranted to my friend about it. Then he tried starting a fight about what he read. Got harassed by him for 3 months after I ended it. Only stopped when I had to get a police officer to go tell him he's not to be anywhere near me anymore or contact me. Found out his first girlfriend got a restraining order against him for the same reasons. Especially frightening when you take into account we were only 17. Went and saw a movie with him and Jack the Giant Slayer, and he insisted that he hold my hand the entire fucking time. I pulled my hand away for a minute because it was making me fucking uncomfortable, and he immediately snatched it again and held it like it was the golden fucking snitch during the final Quidditch match of the season. Got some very rappy vibes from him after that. Her complete inability to leave money in a checking account. She had a frightening compulsion to spend more than we had. I kept thinking that she would settle down once we had a few items for our apartment. After 6 or 7 years I finally realized we could never dig out of the debt we had, and we broke up. I took $10,000 in credit card debt to pay off the guilt I felt for leaving her, and lived in a shack to save up money. Within a year or so I had paid off the bills and started watching my bank account grow and grow. It became a game for me, and I still kept living like a pauper. By the time I met somebody else and proposed, I had so much money that my new wife yelled at me that it was not making interest in my checking account. She was right, but it still broke my heart to see my checking account get reset. Oh, and we celebrated 17 years of marriage this year. She's a keeper. I dated a girl who was the second girl I had ever been with. I found out she was kind of nuts after she showed me that she liked to make her cat do backflips by physically flipping her poor cat upside down. So I stopped seeing her, and I later found out she had posted stories about us on her online journal, none of which were true stories. Then I found out she was killed by an alligator in Florida because she wanted to go skinny dipping in a pond in the middle of the night. Got mad at me because I couldn't get to the hospital that was a little over an hour away from my house. I was cooking dinner for my 2 young children and don't have any family near to watch them on such short notice. He said I obviously didn't care about him at all and he wished he would have just died in Iraq. Yeah, no, standard mental abuse. I have since found out that he is a con artist and 3-time felon who was never in the army and ultimately wasn't in the hospital that day, just trying to get attention, and knew I couldn't get to the hospital. So yeah, I'm currently working on collecting information on his past to get him for stolen valor. He shouldn't have tried to mindfuck someone who was raised by Marines and takes stolen valor as serious as I do. Eat shit. Thanks for tuning in for this WTF Red episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the one and only Reddit channel that will blow your mind every time.